Hello and welcome to Wake and Jake with myself, Jake Storielli, BBD, as we talk about the wild world of sports. Big weekend, the baseball hot stove kicked into gear a little bit. The oven's on as we had the first fun trade of the MLB season, as essentially two MLB guys get traded straight up for each other. Sorry, Joey Weimer. We'll throw you in the Reds, Royals, India Singer deal. Also, Yusei Kikuchi. That's right. Signs with the Angels, which, if you're a baseball fan, part of that hurts your soul for different reasons. There's a lot of jokes around the office today because it seems like a very Angels signing. The guy that has one good full MLB season, turning 33, and basically he's known for being sleepy. Feels like there's some Angels risk there.
Have you said similar things when they did Tyler Anderson, and that's worked.
And now look. So we'll talk about those a little bit. America's GM, Jim Bowden, did a trade scenario mailbag that I want to sift through because, I respect his thoughts, and I like seeing what the people have brought together for him, along with a weekend of football. Indiana, Ohio State was a fun noon kick on Saturday, along with the full NFL slate on Sunday. So I'll be pretty high and tight because we did Talking Baseball was looking for juice, and we got just enough with Singer India trade and the Kikuchi signing. The Singer India trade feels like there should be more trades like this in baseball. The Cincinnati Reds had an extra infielder for a year or two. The Royals have pitching depth. The Royals needed hitting. Cincinnati needed pitching. That Singer for India happens with Joey Weimer going to the Royals as a quadruple A outfielder / second chance prospect that one swing coach comes in and maybe you get a productive player. But it starts with Singer in India. I like it for both sides, and so did America's GM, Jim Bowden. Said it's a win-win. Don't see enough of that. Basically, for the Royals, they get a bona fide MLB leadoff hitter. In Jonathan India, he got on base at a 350 clip last year. He's showed himself at the major league level for a few years now. 357 last year on base. So if you can put that in front of Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino, and Salvi Perez, hopefully Michael Massey can kind of take another step next year. Michael Massey slugging was 7 points away from Salvador Perez. So you might not think of little Michael Massey with that pretty lefty swing the same way you think of Big Salvi. But he's a really good young ball player. Interested to see where else the Royals go with their lineup, because right now it rounds off with Hunter Renfroe, MJ Melendez, and Michael Garcia, and Kyle Isbell in center field. Their rotation is currently listed as Cole Ragans, Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, Alec Marsh, and Kyle Wright, your 1997 Cy Young winner, who they traded for last year, was out for the season. Interested to see how he bounced back. I think they also have a pitching prospect they like on the way. What's that kid's name? Noah Cameron, I believe. And we'll see how else they get involved in this year's free agency. There is starting pitching depth. I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in a veteran under the right contract, because you're going to want to bolster that rotation just a little bit. And I think they believe in however they're coaching pitching. I know Cole Reagan's a young player breakout. Lugo and Wacha, older, and kind of broke out before they came to Kansas City, but they've also pitched well there. So they get India. The question is, what are they going to do defensively? Right now, they have Jonathan India slotted as their DH on Fangraphs. He can play second base. He hasn't graded out well there. Michael Massey played second base for them last year. He's supposed to have a little more versatility. That'll be a question, but hitters play. It's something I wish the Little Leagues coaches yelled at me just a little bit more. I was working on my versatility. If you hit, you'll play, and Jonathan India will be in the lineup for them. Getting on base for Witt, Pasquantino, Perez, and Massey, and they did not have that last year. So offensively, where we saw their lineup become pretty thin during the postseason, it seems like they stretched it out just a little bit. I do like the trade slightly more for the Cincinnati Reds. And maybe I just can't quit the Cincinnati Reds, but on the downside of Jonathan India, his home road splits last year, pretty significant. And he's going from a hitter's park to a pitcher's park. Last year at home, Jonathan India, 273, 375, and 849 OPS. Yes, Great American Ballpark. On the road last year, 225, 342, a 660 OPS. Now, there's players every year that have home and road splits, and Jonathan India, over his career, 809 OPS at home, 722 OPS away. So, hey, maybe there's something to a little home cooking, but Great American Ballpark is one of the friendlier confines in Major League Baseball. And defensively, I don't know what you're going to get from Jonathan India. Brady Singer, you're going to at least get innings. Brady Singer has thrown 150 innings the past 3 years. He's thrown the starts the last 3 years, 24, 29, 32, and 27 the year before that. So he's got 3 seasons with 26 starts, 1 season with 24. No other Red starting pitcher has 26-plus starts on their resume. So you're getting innings. The only question is what kind of results are you getting from Brady Singer? Because last year, a 3.71 ERA, that's a 1.14 ERA plus. We love that. The year before, 5.52. Brady Singer got lit up. Trevor Plouffe was in the numbers. His sinker was horrible in 2023. It was fine in 2024. And Brady Singer broke out in 2022, where he had a 3.23 ERA, 1.27 ERA plus. So it was weird. Brady Singer kind of had I'm a young pitcher, I'm figuring it out. He was drafted in the originally second round out of high school. First round, 18th overall out of University of Florida, just like Jonathan India. Well, hey. Brady Singer has some piss and vinegar to him, for lack of a better term. There's a few clips of him going around Major League and his college days being pretty damn pissy on the mound. We even did a Weekly Dumb story, spoiler, that it looks like he brought all of his stuff to a thrift shop right before he was traded. I don't know. There could be a lot of moving parts to that story. Whatever. He goes to Cincinnati, and I don't think they're banking on him being their one. He's right now slotted into their 2 behind Hunter Green, who had the breakout season last year. 150 innings pitched, 26 starts. Probably why I was using that number. And a 2.75 ERA. Pair that up with Andrew Abbott, had a 3.72 and 25 starts. Nick Martinez, who was so good, they gave him the qualifying offer. So with his 3.1 ERA, 142 innings, you'll see him in the rotation. Nick Lodolo. They lock up some innings for sure, and if the Reds want to do something, they need Matt McClain to bounce back at second base. They need Ellie to continue to be a star and take some steps at shortstop. They need Noelvi Marte to be the guy at third base for them, and even Jamer, who was kind of one of their free agent moves that I liked, to bounce back. He did have a down year, but he can bounce back from that. TJ Friedel missed time for them. I just like it for Cincinnati. The price for Jonathan India in free agency would, I think, be around like the 12 mil area, like kind of Gleyber Torres. Like, I don't think Jonathan India and Gleyber Torres are that far off, especially in recent years, if you take out some of young Gleyber's big seasons. Where a starting pitcher, look what Yusei Kikuchi got, and look at him in Singer's baseball cards the past couple years. I think you'd rather have Singer, and you got him for that same price. So I like it as a first step for Cincinnati. I'm interested to see, are they going to try to bolster their lineup at all, in theory, they could roll that team out there. You'd like one more true thumper in the lineup. And are they done pitching-wise, too? Because they could roll with that rotation where Kansas City still has some moves to make. So, a fun one. A couple Florida Gators played on the same college team, first-round picks. They get swapped. They both have 2 years left with those organizations. And Joey Weimer was in there, too. Which led me to Yusei Kikuchi. Breaks this morning. 3 years, $63 million. That's what, $21 a year? Quick math.
Yeah.
Nice. Is that the shirt from the holiday party?
This is the shirt from the holiday party.
I got to snag one of those. I left mine behind. Wow. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like BBD's shirt. I'm not even going to do the whole thing. You can listen to Talking Baseball. You probably had a similar reaction if you're a baseball fan. There's just something about the Angels and where Kikuchi's at that just feels like this isn't going to work. Kikuchi went over to Houston and had an amazing second half of the season, 10 starts, 2.75 ERA, I believe. Let's double check that. Yep, 2.7. Sorry, Yusei. He has stuff. He's got a electric left-handed arm. He's collected a lot of money playing baseball, and he's going to collect a lot more. Hey, man, I know WAR isn't everything in baseball or life or pitchers. You said Kikuchi career WAR?
12.
4.1.
Yeah, the bad years were bad, huh? Not war-racking years.
It just feels like there's a chance for it to go bad, and I don't know how much of that's Angels. I don't know how much of that's Kikuchi. And, I hope it's wrong, man. I hope they rolled out the wallet and he pitches well for them, and they can either flip him for future assets or it begins a turnaround in L.A., but we just haven't seen it with the Angels. Since when? Since when? I mean, I know you mentioned Tyler Anderson, who came over from the Dodgers.
After the Dodgers fixed him up and they gave him a 3-year deal again early in the offseason, I think he jumped on it before qualifying offer deadline stuff. But.
Yeah, I mean, his first year with the Angels was pretty bad. He bounced back last year, and he had a nice 3-WAR season for them. Again, 1 WAR away from Yusei Kikuchi's career.
Even whenever you think the best realistic possibility of what Yusei Kikuchi can be over this 3-year window or just this year is what does that change for the Angels bottom line?
Yeah,
how much does that change their floor? It's baseball.
The only thing I will say this, Kikuchi was very much, if he ended up on a good team, we would point to his velo, we'd point to his breaking run value from last year was 94th percentile. I think they tapped into that changeup more in Houston. The slider has some good numbers on it. Let me double check that. Yeah, the slider has really good numbers on it. So if he had signed with the Braves, we would probably be hitting the table and be like, Kikuchi, Cy Young. Look what they did with Ronaldo Lopez. Look what they done with Chris Sale. Yeah, but they didn't, and the Angels did. And I don't know if that was first bidding. I don't know if they didn't want him. I don't know what that was. But it's how it happened, and it's just the fact of it that the Angels, until they prove they're not the Angels, they're so Angels. I wanted to believe in Ron Washington last year. I want to believe in their young players. Neto had a breakout year last year. I want to believe the players they brought in. Darno is going to be a solidifying force with Logan O'Hoppe to give them one of the strongest catcher positions in MLB. Shanuel at first base. He's the guy. He's 22 years old. Mike Trout bounces back and has the healthy year we've been waiting for. It's just how long can you keep saying that? So it's a little unfair, I'll be honest. And any of the analysis you're going to hear from me is a little unfair on it, because if Reed Detmers, who's now the 5 starter for the Angels, listed on Fangraphs, if he got traded to one of the good orgs tomorrow, we'd be like, yes, that guy has the stuff and the no-hitter. Trev keeps comparing him to Snell. If he's in L.A., we're not going to believe in that breakout. And I don't know if that's fair or not. I hope we're talking at midseason that the Angels are 10 games above 500 and Ron Washington has them playing well, and these aren't your parents' Angels. I just feel like when we see this final roster on paper, and maybe they're still getting started, maybe they're going to add a significant lefty bat to put in the middle of that lineup, because that's currently what the lineup's, I don't want to say the only thing the lineup's missing. A good lefty in this middle of the lineup, and this is a good root thing for me. If they signed, well, I was going to say Jock, but they have Soler at DH. Okay, Joe Adell's in right field. If they traded for Cody Bellinger, that's one of the rumors in America's GM, Jim Bowden's article. If they added Cody Bellinger to this lineup is the Chicago Cubs. Like, it's just a bunch of solid players. It's nice. Is it good enough lineup to carry you to something? I don't think so. And I think their pitching is worse than the Cubs. And now Cubs fans are really mad. So I've been on a Cubs kick. I'm sorry, Cubs fans.
Cubs know they're trying.
They're not happy with their team and their results. I'd like to think. The reason
Bellinger, Horner, whoever is available is because they want to open up room to add some pitching, make room for prospects and all of that. So they know. I
think the good news, or quote unquote good news, if you're mapping out your team's postseason, this Kikuchi contract was right around what people thought he would get. I guess Fangraphs was a little low. They were 3 for 54, 3 for 63. I think The Athletic had 3 for 63 right on the nose. Forget who that was. To give them credit. I don't know. If you use these websites to try to model out who your team should be hunting in free agency, there is some merit around it. I think some of the big boy ones get a little tricky because that's when the owner kicks in and we got to get Soto done. It better start with a 6.
And it's like if a couple of them, because I think at least Fangraphs, the way they do it is like the median. So if enough people are like 1 or 2 year deal,
right? Yeah,
all of a sudden that slides down.
You get the outliers that help it shake out. But more importantly, maybe this gets movement underway for the other teams. And the other Angels thing that was kind of my head tilt shrug, like, I'm not going to be mad at them for trying something. You need to try something. It just feels like they're trying the same thing. And the other thing we don't know that I wonder if it could be very true, almost Commanders-esque, when there was that report that players wanted to be traded to the Commanders because they like Jaden Daniels. Maybe if the Halos get the stink off them, if I was one of the top free agent pitchers, I wouldn't want to go there. And like when you're talking California taxes and you're talking about Max Fried and he's going to get very similar offers from teams of a better ilk, like those guys can say, Angels, I'm sorry, I'm not about it. Like I don't want to risk the next 7 years of my career potentially just being in no man's land. So maybe Kikuchi was the guy that was like, hey, if you hit this number, I'll sign. And he did. So we dove a little more into that on Talking Baseball. Let me get into America's GM, Jim Bowden, and his article on The Athletic, going through some different trade offers. But first, look at this Blitzball Battle 5 pregame.
Playoff time here at the Warehouse. Blitzball Battle 5. Del Caribe and Hook, Line, Sinker.
I'm just saying there's a lot of Del Caribe fans sitting around here.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if you hear a lot of cheering for them and not a lot for Dan.
Both teams have been sputtering. I think I'm going to have to take Hook, Line. They both can pitch, and we can see them potentially start to hit if our little golden retriever, Drew Davis, starts to get the bat going. Dan Canobio has been great on the mound. So I'm going to go ahead and take Hook, Line, Sinkers.
I'm going to go with Del Caribe.
Wow. Holy smokes. Del Caribe has never won as Team Del Caribe in a Blitzball battle. That ends today. Come on, Joe's McFly. I believe in Joe's McFly. I believe in Joe's McFly. Can't wait to get the playoff party started. Blitzball Battle 5 presented to you by DraftKings.
All right, make sure you're checking out Blitzball Battle 5 on our Warehouse Games channel. Electric. Man, the Rotten Love Yous game is currently a Warehouse all-timer. If you know, you know. And if you don't, check it out. Check it out. All right. America's GM, Jim Bowden. Go check out this article on The Athletic. Or maybe some of you ain't subscribed, so I'm just peeling back that money layer. Imagine if The Athletic got really mad. Stop revealing Jim Bowden's articles.
This is the one people come for.
They might. I love him. As I told you, he called the Singer India trade a win-win. Nice. Let me crochet this to start. As eyes turn to Garrett Crochet, probably one of the prize pieces of this offseason, because I've got people asking about a Mets package. I've got a Red Sox package in here. I've got the Orioles. Let me see if I have another team in the Crochet sweepstakes. I
think there's a Phillies in that crop.
Jimmy O'Brien, John Boy, drinking fake coffee in my face. That's crazy. That's crazy. The Thanksgiving effect in this office is very real right now. Okay, so let's start at the top with it. Garrett Crochet, 2 years of Crochet, which Brady Singer was just traded for Jonathan India. Garrett Crochet kind of peaking right now, and had the best strikeout rate in baseball, so his value significantly higher, and they'll be looking for prospects. So the Mets, Timothy W., a Mets fan, wrote in, said Beatty, Luis Angel Acuna, Blade Tidwell, and Marco Vargas. Love when we're getting in the real prospect weeds. Blade Tidwell. I hope he's a stud. Not familiar with his game. It was kind of funny. America's GM, Jim Bowden, immediately raised the price to Acuna, Jet Williams, and Drew Gilbert, or prospects you may be more familiar with. I think the point is you're going to need 2 to 3 prospects to get this done. I missed this Phillies one. White Sox get Justin Crawford, Mick Abel, Eduardo Tate, Ty Pete, and Johnny Farmello. Come on. No way. No way Johnny Farmello got involved. The Phillies get Crochet, and the Mariners get Alec Boehm. So a 3-way trade there. I've been hearing a lot of Alec Boehm Mariners. Baby D, you had a visceral reaction?
Visceral,
right? Visceral? Because it somehow makes sense. I hope it doesn't. I did, Josh Rojas was DFA'd today, or non-tendered, excuse me. And there was a while he took over their leadoff spot, and we were looking at Josh Rojas' stats, and we're like, yeah, he's kind of been league average his whole career. He was pretty bad the rest of the way. And then I remembered Victor Robles had like a month and a half of good games, and they extended him. So I don't know. I'm not saying anything there. I just live in fear of hitters going to the Mariners. What a sick person. Shout out to Andrew J., who wrote this in, submitting a 3-way trade. Jim Bowden says he gets the image that the Phillies are more locked in on acquiring an outfielder this offseason, which makes sense because they just non-tendered Austin Hayes, who they traded for at the deadline. So that's a little nice tidbit there from Jimmy B. And then a Red Sox fan was also chiming in, how can they get Crochet, not including Boston's big 4 prospects? I didn't know we were labeling them that way, or they even had that. A package of Casas, Abreu, and Connor Wong probably gets close to landing Crochet. I'm starting to see the Red Sox getting involved in this offseason in a big way. They changed the front office. They've been 500 and not competitive the past couple years. And it just feels like they have a path this year to not necessarily win the offseason, because that's not normally what gets it done. I think Tristan Casas... How many teams could have a player like Tristan Casas even available to trade? You've got a 24-year-old first baseman who's hit at a pretty solid level his whole career, 2 years. So, but it feels genuine. He's a massive human. He's got power to all fields. Like, it's not like it. I'll actually tell you, go look at his Fangraph spray chart because it plays anywhere. It's not just, he's not playing monster ball or anything like that. So if you were Seattle and Luis Castillo was on the trade block, if you're trading Garrett Crochet and you need a current MLB player to start getting it done, if the Red Sox are willing to move Tristan Casas, which there's rumors about Devers moving to first base, the Red Sox really have a path this offseason between that kind of significant trade while grabbing one or two free agents that they could change. Let's just say they're the Crochet winners. They trade Casas and one of their prospects. I won't even name him because it'll make Red Sox fans mad. But they can get that trade done. So they get Crochet. You got Crochet, Houck, Bayo, Crawford. Maybe we had one more starting pitcher just to be safe. I don't know how significant it has to be. Also, our guy Lucas Giolito should be coming back next year.
Yeah.
You guys know I try not to hype up Chris Rose too much. But it was a great quote, and I would go check it out. Chris Rose on the Chris Rose rotation talking to Giolito. And Giolito said he was pretty miserable last year because he's on a new team. He's a free agent. He gets hurt. So he's just at the facility getting paid pretty well. And kind of the dudes are looking at him, and he's looking at the dudes like, God, we could use each other's help. And I don't know. It's one of those things to actually hear that from an athlete's perspective was very interesting to hear. So I would go check that out. And I don't know. I think the Red Sox, there's a group of teams this offseason that are kind of like the will they, won't they get involved crew. And we did a little bit of this with Jolly Olive. But like Boston, will they, won't they? We've done this dance for a couple years now. I'm leaning they will. Detroit, everyone thinks they're going to get involved. I'd actually lean no. Like, I think they're going to get a couple pitchers, but we'll see. Also in the will they, won't they, Toronto and Texas freak me out a little bit. Big budgets. They kind of need to do something. Like, part of this Jim Bowden article says the Rangers expect DeGrom to come back full DeGrom next year, which, if you remember, full DeGrom, that's a guy that's so good that you have to, like, put a plan and put a player around it. And they're, a year removed from being the World Series champs, that they're not just going to pay they're not just going to pay Simeon, Seager, and DeGrom to go lose 85 games next year. So those are the will they, won't they teams for me. The Washington Nationals, we've talked about a little bit with all their talented youth. Are they going to get the bankroll back up? Giants and Padres live there. I'm not even gonna. Pittsburgh's not even in the will they, won't they, although they should be because they told us they would be. The Cubs are constantly will they, won't they too. So I don't know. Of those pile of teams that, depending their ownership group and how their GM wants to take it, if those teams are involved, buying becomes a lot tougher in free agency and trade if they take the brakes off. Just some simple economics for you guys. So, back in Jim Bowden's article, the Orioles, they're involved in Crochet. They're talking about some of their top prospects, Kobe Mayo, Samuel Basallo. Yeah, I mean, whatever the White Sox want. Like, I don't need to dive into this. The more and better prospects and players you're giving gives you a better chance to get Crochet, so we'll see what team goes there. I did think it was an interesting one that an Orioles fan wrote in and said, hey, if we re-sign Santander, which isn't insane, like, I think Santander's value to Baltimore is similar to where it could be with other teams, especially if they bring in that wall a couple feet. If they locked up Santander, he's a part of this. Switch hitting, middle of the lineup, blah, blah, blah. That would allow them to trade a Kjerstad or Kobe Mayo for Crochet, which if you're the Orioles, maybe spending that $22-25 million for Santander and trading for Crochet is an easier way than fronting the bankroll of signing Corbin Burnes for $33 a year and then still having to bring in an outfielder. I don't know. I thought that was interesting and something to watch for if the Orioles were to bring back Santander and we're all like, okay, golf clap. The Orioles are keeping one of their guys, sure. That would kind of signify to me that one of their young outfielders would be trade bait. That was from Greg D. And that made me rethink things a little bit because for the Orioles, there's Orioles fans listening to this that might be mad I didn't include them in the do or do not area. I still don't know about the Orioles. They're going to be involved in this offseason. So, to me, they're a do, but we just don't know if they're, the cost-effective Orioles or if this new ownership here is actually to dance. So that one turned my head a little bit. Another one here's what I love, people. You're listening to Waken, Jake. You probably like baseball. You probably love sports. We're glad to have you subscribe, all the good stuff. Here's what we're looking for. 2 Jordan Montgomery trade offers. Red Sox, Masataka Yoshida. The Casas trade doesn't develop. They've got all these lefties. Yoshida's kind of tough in the field. He's probably a DH, but he can hit. The Snakes owner came out and said, we're trading Jordan Montgomery. America's GM, Jim Bowden, he said he liked this for the Red Sox. Get Jordan Montgomery in, get your pitching there. You flip Yoshida, which, again, he ended up being okay for you last year, but he's kind of going to clog up the DH spot, and you don't have to flip Casas. For the D-backs, Jock Peterson, who opted out, you can replace him with Yoshida. A lot of people like to hit in Arizona, whether that's the stadium or the lineup. That could be a win-win for them. The other one, and this one was a full little head tilt for me, Jordan Montgomery for Cody Bellinger. Cubbies are trying to get off Belly's contract, still a productive player. Cody Bellinger, also from the Arizona area. People forget. High school with Cole Tucker, I think, which, again, I don't know how your guys' high school baseball team was, but I'm going to assume they were better. The Montgomery for Belly swap would be interesting. I think after the year Monty had, they can't do that. Monty's year was pretty tough. Belly ended up having a little over 2 WAR. Monty was negative 1.4. I know you can point to the no off season or preseason and spring training, and we've seen a couple pitchers do this. That Jordan Montgomery isn't the player he played to last year, and that's where teams will eventually come to the table, whether it's missing out on free agents or, again, the price tag shouldn't be crazy. That I liked both of those concepts. Yoshida, who the Red Sox are kind of looking for an out from. Belly, who the Cubs are looking for an out from. You could probably get something else from the Diamondbacks if you're the Cubs to get Jordan Montgomery in there. And that kind of feels like the state of the Cubs. I want them to go and get Corbin Burnes. How about we flip Belly for Jordan Montgomery? I don't know. I've been trying to find the Jordan Montgomery team. I kind of thought it was going to be the Angels because they could pay him Kikuchi money while giving up almost nothing.
For just being willing to take the deal.
Maybe they still are.
Certainly could.
Yeah, I will never rule them out. There was some Vladimir Guerrero Jr. questions in here. Bowden basically said, hey, that's not happening. At this point, Toronto's trying to extend him, and you just ride it out to the deadline. because Vladdy's stock is all the way back up, man. With his age and his production level, good on Vladdy and the Blue Jays, depending their offseason. Again, I tell you, the do or do not teams, I don't know. They have to do something, and I hope it's not just a bunch of little small moves, which I think it is going to be. Let's see. God, there were so many in here. I was blown away. Didn't you know? You guys know I get a little hot to trot with America's GM. Here's a Yankees one. This is awesome. The Cardinals. These teams have traded before. Ryan Helsley, Victor Scott Deuce, and Steven Matz for Jasson Dominguez. Okay. So the Yankees would get the closer they've been looking for on the back end. They get an opportunity with Steven Matz to tap into a talented, injury-prone local arm. They did have them eating the contract. And then Victor Scott comes over, I guess, to just be a young defensive outfielder for the Yankees if they want to use that. Jim Bowden says it's interesting. He says he doesn't see the Yankees doing it because Dominguez is the Yankees' best prospect, especially if they don't re-sign Soto, that he either becomes a cornerstone piece for them or a cornerstone trade piece for them. They're just trading for, and I don't want to say just, but trading for a closer, a pitcher with risk, a one-year closer at that, and whatever Victor Scott Deuce can turn into. I don't see it happening.
It doesn't seem like the trade the Yankees cashed that chip in on, even if they decided we're trading him this offseason.
This one I think was interesting. Dodgers. Devin Williams from the Brewers for Gavin Lux and Landon Knack. So you get Gavin Lux, play some second base, hit a little bit for you. Seemed like his light bulb really came on the second half of this year. Dodgers get a lockdown closer for a year, and I was surprised to see America's GM Jim Bowden thought the Dodgers kind of would be on the better end of this deal and that the Brewers would not like it, which I was a little surprised to see. Gavin Lux, an MLB infielder. I think he's from that area. Not that that should matter, but kind of. And Landon Knack, who's, I don't know, a young pitcher that the Brewers could tap into with years of control. For Devin Williams, I'm a little surprised. I'd like to think that package is somewhere in the ballpark for what Milwaukee would want. But reliever price tags, I just don't even know anymore. The whole market has kind of been thrown off to me with free agent relievers out there to be tapped into. The Helsley and Devin Williams this offseason, I have no clue. No clue. Which led to one more. Devin Williams for Alec Bohm. I don't see the Brewers being an Alec Bohm destination. Although they brought in Rhys Hoskins, so they clearly like something about those teams scouting. Bohm to play third base. The Joey Ortiz right now is supposed to slide to shortstop. The Brewers' requirement is normally you got to play defense. If you can hit, that's a bonus. That Alec Bohm kind of doesn't fit that profile. So I don't see them as a Bohm team. I can't even look at the Josh Naylor trades, man. They just make me so sad. He's such a fit in Cleveland. Give me the weird Naylor extension. He doesn't rack up WAR. He clearly kind of likes it there. Give me the 4 years, $50 million extension for Josh Naylor. Like, I will not look at those trade offers. Josh Jones to the Red Sox. No, Jared Jones, excuse me. Josh Jones is one of my friend's buddies from college. Shout out to him.
Hey, Josh.
Nice cat. Nice cat. Twins trade Correa. I don't see it. Although there were some Buxton rumors earlier this offseason that I do wonder if the Twins could get off some money. This is the part that our guy Trevor has been unfortunately alluding to with the Twins and their TV contract and everything going on with that team. I think there's teams that don't believe in injury prone. I mean, some players are just undeniable at this point. I mean, Buxton, my God. That would be interesting. How many years does Buxton have left? Because he signed that extension a couple years ago.
Yep, that was a funky one.
Okay, so he has 4 years left, 31 through 34. He's been banged up, but the number's $15 million a year with crazy performance bonuses in there. So there's obviously risk to it. This guy is a sick puppy, man. In 102 games last year, he had a 3.5 WAR.
Whoa.
It's only his second season playing 100 games. He's so talented that I wonder if the Twins could get off that money, because you basically need an injury insurance plan with him. But some of the big teams could afford that. God, if Byron Buxton ended up on the Yankees, the Phillies, the Dodgers,
Braves,
like, we would believe in that. I wonder who even gets to answer those kind of questions. It was Steve. He was just floating around. If you just saw me point at someone on YouTube. Byron Buxton getting traded would be really interesting for a Twins team that's trying to clear up their books. They kind of need more out of him, and maybe a change of scenery would be good.
someone else's medical staff try something on that. And
I mean, whatever the Braves did with Chris Sale.
I mean, yeah, $15 million a year, a number worth the, juice is worth the squeeze on the Twins end of trying to make a trade work. And if you're the acquiring team, assuming you're a team that typically operates at a bigger budget, that's a worthwhile.
He's such a scary player
roll
to trade for, man.
Depends. It all depends what else is happening and what your current situation is.
Yeah, you need.
Is he a bonus piece basically? And
you need depth.
if the Phillies did it tomorrow, we'd be like,
you'd love
yeah.
it. You'd love it. Since 2020, 848 OPS. So I know that doesn't necessarily jump off the page, but it does. It should. 132 OPS plus, like Buck Daddy for the past few years now. When he's out there, he hits. That would be a really interesting trade candidate for one of the teams with buffer to do it. This last one, it just made me laugh. Mike Yastrzemski or Lamont Wade Jr. have any real trade value? I don't think either player has much trade value, said Jim Bowden. So, Giants are in their own version of hell. He did answer a Camilo Duvall question after that, which he answered the exact same way I've been answering. Why would they trade him at his lowest value? Worst case, you let him just throw hard, even in AAA next year, and his value doesn't change. So, thanks to America's GM and the writers on The Athletic, the people who wrote into The Athletic, for chiming in on that. And what did we find out? Buxton going somewhere would be cool. I'm starting to find some more realistic Monty swaps, which those weren't making sense in my head. And, man, the Crochet race. Hopefully that's about to get really fun with the trade market having already gone. Let's do the football weekend, and it's brought to you by DraftKings. Today's episode is sponsored by DraftKings. Grab your favorite team's jersey and some snacks and head to the couch for another Sunday of action-packed football. That's what I did. And get even closer to the action each Sunday with our partners at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, all new customers who bet just $5 will get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you use code BAKERS. Stay in on the action and use your $150 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at even bigger payout. And if it's not available in your state yet, you can still join in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy for a shot to win cash prizes. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code BAKERS. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code BAKERS only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Like I mentioned, a little college football for you because I'm super interested to see how this new format plays out. College football's in a weird spot because everyone's losing, and the cop-out answer is like all these teams are flawed or the new conferences or whichever way you want to go with it. It was a fun one. At Ohio State, Indiana, undefeated, who people were asking questions. They got the new Google Me coach that we fall in love with, Signetti. Indiana, that's never been a football school in my lifetime. 10-0 heading to Ohio State. And Ohio State ends up getting it done, but Indiana, opening drive, they stop Ohio State on a 3-0. They get the ball. They march down the field 7-0. And there was kind of a look-around moment of, wait, are they going to do this? It was all Ohio State the rest of the way. Ohio State's 10-1. Their only losses to undefeated Oregon. They're going to be going dancing. Dominant win from them. In the college football landscape, I don't know what you do. Number 7, Alabama, lost their third game to Oklahoma. Ole Miss, who I did tell you guys I put in a weird DraftKings ticket on them to win the college football championship, hoping to cash out at some point because I don't actually believe. They lose at home to the 6-5 Florida Gators. God, Boise State is probably going to end up on this thing, and they survived 2-9 Wyoming, 17-13. Super interested to see how the bracket sorts out. BYU and Texas A&M and Colorado both lose. Those are teams 14, 15, and 16. That is Arizona State going to find a way into this. Clemson, South Carolina. I'm excited to see any new format and see how it plays out. We said that with baseball. Where do we land with baseball's format now? Because the good teams did good this year, right?
This year we got some good corrections to the first couple years of the.
They just need to
the
tighten
format.
up the start of it.
Tighten up the start, figure that out.
Because the wild card teams aren't getting hurt at all.
They're definitely not getting hurt, and it's just been weird with scheduling stuff and actual selling of the product, but still need to see more.
Still need to see more. And
decide anything for real.
That's where I want to get to with college football, and I did hear a cool, I think it was Brady Quinn with my guy, Ryan Rosillo. He said for, like, the other bowl games that people are just out on, like, you know, no offense to San Jose State and I don't know who they're going to play. Wake Forest. Wake Forest isn't going dancing this year, but one of those bowl games you look at on December 5th and you're like, oh, my God. Like,
why is this
what
even
is this,
something?
the Flanoco Bowl? They were saying they should get rid of those bowl games and have them during the season with, like, good teams. So, like, have the Flanoco Bowl in September and have Ole Miss play Oklahoma and see what happens there. I don't know. I was really intrigued by that idea. It made sense to me. Maybe you can still do the little bowl games at the end of the year for the teams that don't really have a shot to go dancing. I don't know. It's always creative to put your creative hat on. Which brings us to the NFL weekend. This NFL weekend, I got to tune into it. I was excited. It started off Thursday, snow game, famous Jameis. Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns take down another AFC Norris opponent. They've beaten the Ravens, and they beat the Steelers in the snow. By the way, too much snow? Is that possible? There was a couple shots that it was like, are the cameras too good? They got the fake lines going. I was interested if I was being old man. I was a little freaked out by it at first. And I was like, okay, Jake, check your old manness a little bit. Because what's the real problem to seeing the lines on the field? And then I tweeted it out. I got some replies from people that were like, yes, you're absolutely right. Because A, we were getting the green screen effect, that like players were going through it and they were looking fuzzy. And then the other thing, and maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's dumb, but that's kind of one of the cool parts of the snow game. Like, let the broadcasters talk you through it. Al Michaels saying something like, I think they're on the 27-yard line. We kind of had that taken away from us. So maybe it's dumb old man yelling at cloud. For now, the Steelers, that the conversation all week is, are they a real Super Bowl contender? They lose in Cleveland. If you are someone in the sports gambling game, you knew this felt like a trap game of sorts. And how about Nick Chubb? 2 rushing touchdowns in this one. Jerry Jeudy had a nice game. Former Denver Bronco, which we'll talk about in a minute. And Jameis Winston is just one of the most beloved athletes right now. You're going to get some weird quotes. There's some second chance Americana stuff to it. Just a big smile on his face. He's someone we're super familiar with because of the Heisman till now. America loves Jameis, and I'm here for it. That was Thursday night. That brought us to Sunday. God, this was an ugly slate. I think we can be honest. Bears-Vikings. Some crazy finishes, and this one got involved. The Vikings are up 2 scores. It's over. Here comes Jake to half dunk on Caleb again. The Bears come back. They take this game to overtime. It had no business going there. The Vikings end up getting the stop they needed, a big sack in OT to get the ball back and set up the field goal. Caleb ends up with an incredible, or a really nice stat line, I should say. 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Sam Darnold gets a backup start. I hate to be Jakey fantasy football guy, and I'd have to get in the numbers a little further. No Justin Jefferson this game, which I did not like, but it was a ton of Jordan Addison. 8 catches for 162. TJ Hawkinson, 7 for 114. I'll have to check with Pennick and Bobby Skinner and maybe Chris Rose. Check them out. But for me, I just find it so dumb when a team's like, hey, let's just completely stop Justin Jefferson, but the other guys are going to be open. Like the old New England game plan, we're going to shut down your one thing. But they would also limit your other things. Like Jordan Addison has big games, and he had a monster one in the... Like, what's the difference if Jordan Addison has the 8 catches for 162 or Justin Jefferson? Anyways, Bears had no business being in this game. They got an onside kick, which doesn't happen in the NFL anymore. We'll get to some more special teams coming up. But that one was a crazy ending of the 1 o'clock games. The other one, Cowboys-Commanders. This game was hideous in the first half. Commanders coming off their bye. Cooper Rush for the Cowboys. Cowboys, field goal blocked, field goal missed in the first half. The first half ends 3-3. The Cowboys kind of dominated. Did live bet the Cowboys to win. Made some money that way. Although it got really scary late because this was one of the ugliest ending to a fourth quarter or game in NFL history. The Cowboys ended up scoring 24 points in the fourth quarter to the Commanders' 17 points in the fourth quarter. I don't even know. At the end of this game, there was touchdown Cowboys as Turpin muffs the kick and hits a spin move from the gods. That was, if we're being honest, really sick. That came after 2 touchdowns earlier in the quarter. A nice drive by the Cowboys and then a nice drive by the Commanders that ended in a Zach Ertz touchdown. Man, and then just the final onside kick that the Cowboys returned for a touchdown, which they shouldn't have because it did give the Commanders another chance. Commanders get another, it's not even a Hail Mary, but an 86-yard touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin. that was just... The Commanders are on a 3-game losing streak. They've lost a lot of the credit they built up. They've got one more game before going into their bye week. A pivotal game for them against the Tennessee Titans, who just had a nice win over the Texans this weekend. 3-game losing streak, the game before your bye. If you lose 4 in a row into your bye week, Jane Daniels is banged up. The league's figuring him out, blah, blah, blah. You win. Jane Daniels looks healthier. You ended your losing streak. A massive game for the next year or two, IMO, for the Washington Commanders against the Tennessee Titans. And those are kind of dirty words to be saying this time of year. Lions, Colts, no. Lions, 24-6. They're 10-1, man. I had a little kid moment where I was watching SVP Sports Center last night that I was like, the Lions are 10-1 and they're nasty. Like, I feel like I would be more excited about them if I was a little kid. Then maybe I need to get more excited about them. I'm working on it. Dolphins rout the Patriots, and the Dolphins are back in the mix, and they're the game that we have to watch this Thanksgiving. Packers-Dolphins is the best one on the slate because the Cowboys won't pick up Daniel Jones. Thought we wanted content. Dolphins are back to looking like the Dolphins. Tua, 4 touchdowns. They beat the bad teams. They lose to the good teams. Let's see that final test with the Packers. We're looking good. Buccaneers roll the Giants. I don't know. Go check out Talking Giants. Baker Mayfield hit the Tommy Cutlets celebration.
Real hard.
Real hard. He said it wasn't premeditated, and part of me believes it because of how hard he hit it. Like that
hard can only come naturally.
It had the venom of like Baker Mayfield getting warmed up and getting yelled at by a bunch of New Jersey Guidos, and that's probably what happened. Bucks 5-6, Giants very sad. What else do we got here in the 1 o'clock slate? Titans-Texans was an insane game. Kaimi Fairbairn blows a couple field goals down the stretch. Titans steal one from the Texans. Everyone questioning the Texans now. They haven't been the same in a while. They're down to 7-5. Chiefs-Panthers was a fun one. Panthers with a fun electric tie it up. Bryce Young looking serviceable. Better than serviceable. Good. Mahomes with one of his quirky Mahomes scrambles at the end of the game. Sets them up to win. They are still 10-1. The 4 p.m. slate, Packers rout the Niners. No Brock Purdy in this game, and the Niners just, again, look like a weird shell of themselves. Niners. So many penalties in that game. Made it tough to watch. Josh Jacobs. That was your 3-touchdown day. Good for him. Kittle looked good. Seahawks Cardinals. This was an ugly divisional matchup if you're looking to bet unders the rest of the way. Seahawks end up getting more or less the deciding touchdown on a interception, 4th and 1. Incredible play by Devin Witherspoon. I just did a short on it. You might see that later. I think the biggest takeaway from the weekend, well, how about those Denver Broncos? Bo Nix, now equal with Jaden Daniels as your Rookie of the Year favorite. I have to admit it, I watched this game, and he was making plays. Whenever they need it, it feels like they're in lockstep. Courtland Sutton is a dog, an absolute dog. I always preferred him to Jerry Jeudy. I started slow, but he has picked it up. He has become Nix's kind of safety valve. Bo Nix just looks really solid. It looks like they have the plays called. It looks like Peyton's playing to his strength. He has legs to escape if he needs it. They beat the Raiders, but they're 7-5. Go Ponies, go. Unfortunately, I think I have an announcement. I think my new Super Bowl favorite played last night. I think it's the Eagles season, man. The AFC is stacked, and those playoffs are going to be a bloodbath. You're going to see teams get in each other's way, and are you going to pick anyone over the Chiefs? The Eagles, man. I just said I should like these Lions more, and this is part of what I was trying to tell you. The Eagles are nasty. They got through the adversity to start this season. Saquon in that offensive line feels unfair. And they were talking about it on the broadcast, and I'm glad they did. It felt like the league fully zigged. Offensive passing, pass the ball on first down, that's how you win games. Looks like the Eagles got the baddest maulers they could find. and they're getting 5 yards a rush if they want it. I genuinely think they could run the ball every play and win football games. It's kind of nuts. Some of the draws with Jalen Hurts getting Saquon as a blocker, they get extra numbers that way. Whenever they need it, A.J. Brown is there. They were without Devontae Smith against the Rams, and they just look like they were in a different class. I think they're going to have an easier path through the NFC. I think I'm going to DraftKings, and I'm putting a little cheese on the birds. Hurts my soul a little bit, but damn, they look good. So that was your NFL football weekend. We will be back with a little gobble, Wake and Jake. Are we? Maybe?
Think so?
We'll give you something. I got to figure out my schedule. Make sure you're subscribed. Uncle Dan?
Wake and Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.